Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Wednesday, January 24th. We're a couple days removed from the Jaguars announcing that Ryan Nielsen will be their new defensive coordinator, coming over from Atlanta in the same position. He's got a lot of work to do, right? This defense fell apart down the stretch in Jacksonville. It collapsed during their late season skid, and in no bigger way than in Week 18 against the Tennessee Titans, an offense that was hapless for much of the season ran roughshod over the Jaguars. So he's got work to do in a big way. We're going to look over the next few weeks at areas that the Jaguars can improve their roster from a personnel standpoint, potentially in free agency, and obviously the draft down the road, depending on how free agency goes for them. But right now, I want to look at the interior of the defensive line, some defensive tackles, and the situations the Jaguars have on their roster, and some potential free agents that they could go after to try to upgrade and improve their room, right? Like Ryan Nielsen, I think he's going to be big for the Jaguars defensive front because he's a guy that has coached defensive line for a long time, gotten the best out of a lot of different players. So I think that there is hope for the Jaguars defensive front, but we're going to dive into it here today. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can go check out genjag.com/shop and pick up some new Duval gear. Again, really appreciate y'all being here. So in free agency, and we're going to talk about this a lot, what you have to be careful of is overpaying too much, right? The Jaguars, in my opinion, looking at the interior of the defensive line, they really overpaid Foley Fatukasi a couple years ago. I don't think that he really deserved anywhere near that, and certainly the proof has been in the pudding based on his play, which has been average-ish when he's been healthy, and he hasn't been healthy a whole lot. Roy Robertson Harris, I think extending him last year was a mistake. I think the initial contract they gave him was probably a mistake as well. I don't think you can blame them really for the Devon Hamilton situation with the health issue with his back. I think that he was playing at an extremely high level, and that was a situation that no one could control, and you just hope that he's able to get back to full strength for 2024. But you want to avoid bad contracts. The Jaguars have not done a good job in that regard, especially at interior defensive line under Trent Baalke. On the same token, though, while you want to avoid these bad contracts, the Jaguars absolutely do need interior help. I think they need a veteran to come in and help fortify this group in a big way. They were getting blown off the ball by the end of the season, week in and week out there down the stretch. It was ugly to see. And again, you're hopeful that Ryan Nielsen, who has the defensive line background, can come in with the physicality, the gap discipline that he's known for, and help upgrade the guys that they currently have. But he's not a miracle worker, right? The Jaguars likely need to move on from Foley Fatukasi, save some cap, and then try to upgrade what you have with Devon Hamilton, with Roy Robertson Harris. Neither of those guys are going anywhere based on their contracts. And then obviously you have Tyler Lacey, who you brought in. But I think the Jaguars need to try to add a really talented player to that interior defensive line in whatever way they can. Now, with Ryan Nielsen, you will see a lot of varied fronts, so you want guys that can do a lot of different things for you, align in different spots along that defensive front. I think Roy Robertson Harris at his peak can create some penetration at times for you. I think with a fully healthy Devon Hamilton, he's kind of a more complete interior defensive lineman that can play on all three downs, but again, you're hoping he can get back to that point. There is a healthy crop, a really healthy crop of interior defensive linemen set to hit free agency this year that I believe could help upgrade the Jaguars defense in different ways, right? There's guys at the top that could be, real Pro Bowl potential type players for you in this defense. There's guys that can be more situational, and there's guys that you can take swings on and maybe bet on some upside. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this, but we're going to dive into some of these potential free agents and break it down. You have to start with Chris Jones. If you have a chance to land Chris Jones, even at 30 years old, which he will be this upcoming season, you have to take it. He's a dominant force. He's a winner. He's at the point in his career where it's about legacy. It's about going down as one of the best to ever do it. If he continues on the path he's currently on, that's exactly what's going to happen for him. He can give you versatility. He can play the run. Most importantly, he can rush the passer from a wide variety of spots. I would be shocked, right, if the Jaguars back up the Brinks truck for a 30-year-old Chris Jones if the Chiefs let him leave Kansas City, quite frankly. But if the Jaguars had an opportunity somehow to land a Chris Jones, absolutely, by all means, he is at the top of the list, top tier by himself. After that, there is a tier that includes guys that I think are Pro Bowl caliber players. Justin Madubuike, Christian Wilkins, DJ Reader. These are guys that could make a Pro Bowl in a given season. And I think, again, you have to factor in that they would be playing under Ryan Nielsen and this defense that, again, has done a lot to get the most out of players up front. So Justin Madubuike, looking at him, he is 26 years old, coming off a massive season of pass rush production. He's 6'3", 305 pounds, not a huge interior defensive lineman. I think he does have long enough arms to pass the Trent Baalke threshold test with the arm length, but he was dominant in 2023 as a pass rusher. Unbelievable season rushing the passer. He can play the run fairly well, not like an impact run defender, but good enough in my opinion. And the pass rush production is unmatched really from interior defensive linemen this year. Now, he did take a massive leap in a contract year. That is something to keep in mind. He was playing on the best defense in the league with the Baltimore Ravens, but I think he is hitting his stride at 26 years old, and I would be excited to land him, but you do have to keep in mind that the best season of his career came in the contract year, and it wasn't like a gradual jump in production. It was a massive jump in production. Then you look at Christian Wilkins. He is 28 years old, 310 pounds. He's been consistently impactful as a run defender and pass rusher from the interior, really since joining the Dolphins as a rookie. It sounds like the Dolphins are set to let him test free agency. I think he's a more well-rounded overall player than Madubuike, but probably not as good in the pass rush department overall. But I think he'd be a great complement to what you have here. I know Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne would go to bat for him, former Clemson teammates. I say let's get the gang back together and see how it plays out. I think Christian Wilkins would really upgrade the Jaguars' interior defensive line in a big way. DJ Reader, he is a bigger boy now than these other guys we've talked about. You're not going to get as many snaps out of him, but when he is on the football field, he is truly an impact player. He's about to turn 30 years old, but at 6'3" and 335 pounds, super balanced when he's on the field, big impacts against the run and as a pass rusher. I think he would massively upgrade your front and really bring a size element that you don't necessarily have at 335 pounds. You've got Leonard Williams, who's also set to be a free agent, about to turn 30 years old. The Jaguars probably should have drafted him back in the day over Dante Fowler, but that's neither here nor there. He can really ball at a high level. I think Ryan Nielsen could get the most out of his skill set. 6'5", 302 pounds, really has the versatility to play anywhere on a defensive front. He's been super productive as a pass rusher, pretty good run defender throughout his career. He'll give you a ton of snaps out there. So I think Leonard Williams would definitely help them out in a big way. Grover Stewart, he's a stalwart for the Indianapolis Colts against the run. He will be an ass kicker against the run. Won't give you that much as a true pass rusher. He is 30 years old, but somebody, if you're talking about gap integrity, about really sealing off the run game and helping the Jaguars upgrade that, I think that you could talk about bringing in a Grover Stewart. Fletcher Cox and Sheldon Rankins, they could both be good pass rush specialists for you. Both have connections to the current staff. Obviously, Fletcher Cox up there in age. Sheldon Rankins about to turn 30. But both of those guys have played with members of the Jaguars' current staff. Fletcher Cox with Doug Peterson, obviously. Sheldon Rankins played under Ryan Nielsen in New Orleans. Calais Campbell, he's set to be a free agent. Played under Ryan Nielsen for the Falcons last year. Bring the mayor home, right? I think he could absolutely help you out in a big way. Daquan Jones, he is 32 years old, but he can still play at a high level. Dealt with some injury in 2023, but a guy that I think would upgrade what you have again. Maurice Hurst, oft injured throughout his career. Very good player. Showed that in Cleveland. I think that he has been an underrated value throughout his career, but again, when you can't rely on a player to stay healthy, that can be frustrating. Shelby Harris, an older player as well, 33 soon, but he can play the run in the pass. Not going to give you, full snap counts as a interior defensive lineman, but as a rotational player, rotational starter. I think Shelby Harris could help you out. Javon Kinlaw, I think, is the biggest upside play. Hasn't really gotten it done in the NFL, has had some maturity issues, it seems like, but flashed as a pass rusher in 2023 for the San Francisco 49ers. Perhaps you could bring him in on a cheaper deal and see if you can get a guy that can be a pass rush specialist for you. So when you look at this, there's a lot of good options, a lot of varied options for the Jaguars. Like I mentioned, guys at the top like Chris Jones, Justin Madubuike, Christian Wilkins, probably going to get the most money. I think DJ Reader and Leonard Williams will get paid very well also. And I think everyone else we kind of looked at is probably going to be fairly affordable, not really breaking the bank at all for you. So I think there's a ton of options for the Jaguars if they want to upgrade their interior of their defensive line in free agency. I think there will be some pretty good options in the draft that we will talk about as well. But that'll do it here today. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out jinjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one.